One edit, one apology, and a $1 billion legal threat. Did the BBC's Panorama cross the line when it edited Donald Trump's January 6th speech? Tonight, we reconstruct what allegedly happened, explain the legal stakes on both sides of the Atlantic, and ask a blunt question. If the BBC loses in court, what will cost more, the money or the trust? Before we start, a quick note on standards. This episode is based on publicly reported information and editorial guidelines that are widely available. Some details are confirmed, others are alleged and still being scrutinized. I'll say alleged when we discuss claims that haven't been established by an official ruling or direct, verifiable documents in the public record. And of course, this is analysis, not legal advice. So what happened? Short and clear. According to reporting presented to the UK Parliament's Culture, Media and Sport Committee, BBC Chair Samir Shah apologized for an edit that, in his words, could give viewers the impression that President Trump was calling for direct violence during his January 6th speech. The BBC says it has issued corrections, reviewed its editorial processes, and referred the matter to its standards oversight bodies. At the same time, lawyers for Donald Trump reportedly sent a legal demand threatening to sue for at least $1 billion unless certain statements were withdrawn by a specific deadline. The heart of the dispute is the edit itself, what was included, what was excluded, and how that shaped meaning for viewers. Let's reconstruct the core allegation. The claim is that a Panorama segment combined two different parts of Trump's speech, delivered roughly an hour apart, into a tight sequence that created a more inflammatory takeaway than the full context supports. In the full transcript of that day, Trump used forceful rally language, including words like fight, which are common in political speeches. But he also used qualifying language such as peacefully and patriotically, which signals a nonviolent intent. Whether those counterbalancing lines are included or omitted matters a great deal. If you remove the qualifiers, the tone shifts. If you splice distant moments together without making the gap clear, the intent can look different. That is the editorial dilemma at the center of this controversy. Now, to be fair and careful, we're not playing the Panorama clip here, and we don't need to. The point is to understand how a single cut can reshape meaning in any political speech. Imagine hearing a quote like, "We must fight." On its own, it sounds combative. If it is immediately followed by, "with our voices and our votes, peacefully," the tone changes entirely. Many journalists use short clips to keep the pace of a story. That's normal. The ethical line is this: does your edit leave a reasonable viewer with a meaning the speaker did not actually convey? If yes, you've crossed from editing for clarity into editing that misleads. What has the BBC acknowledged and what remains alleged? Acknowledged: an apology from BBC leadership for an edit that could convey the wrong impression, statements about reviewing editorial standards, and references to internal oversight bodies handling the matter. Alleged that the edit was intentionally misleading, that it was designed to influence political perceptions heading into the 2024 election, and that senior leaders acted or failed to act with knowledge that context was missing. Those latter points involve claims about intent and impact that would need evidence, emails, edit decision lists, compliance notes, and so on, to establish in any legal setting. Let's pause on the craft of editing for a moment, because it's crucial for understanding both the newsroom and the courtroom. News packages often compress long speeches into seconds. Producers use paper edits, written scripts that map which lines go where, plus edit decision lists that document the precise in and out points of each video cut. When you're dealing with political speech, context is king. Removing a key qualifier can flip the perceived intent. Bringing two distant lines together can make a message feel seamless, even when, in real time, those lines were separated by entirely different moments or moods. This is why editorial guidelines emphasize fairness, balance, and context, especially with high-stakes public figures. Now let's talk law. If this turns into an actual lawsuit, the rulebook depends on where it's filed. In the United States, Donald Trump is a public figure, which activates the actual malice standard. That means he would have to prove that the BBC knew a claim was false or acted with reckless disregard for whether it was true. Reckless disregard is more than just being sloppy. It's consciously ignoring obvious risks to the truth. In defamation cases against news organizations, this typically requires internal evidence, emails, messages, production notes, or sign-offs, showing that key people understood the edit me